Hey everybody, it's New Year's Eve, and I thought I would take 5 minutes to give a shout out to my three top albums of 2023, and a shout out to several other things I enjoyed over the year, for whatever that's worth. So, my number three album of the year is The Night Eternal. The album's called Fatale. I don't own that on CD, but I'm looking to change that very soon. It's a dark heavy metal band from Germany. It's their second full length album, and the main comparison is In Solitude. But I think they're a more robust, full bodied version of In Solitude. A little bit of Danzig thrown in the vocals. And it's just rare these days that you'll find a heavy metal album that's just track after track after track, just perfect. The lyrics rule, the solos rule. I think it's a lot of fun, haven't gotten tired of it. And that's my number three. My number two is Black Medium Current by Dodheimsgard, the Norwegian progressive black metal band. Something about this album is very strange. They've always been a weird band, but just something about this one. Like sometimes I'll put it on when I'm going to bed and I feel like things are just kind of floating in the air in the room, like someone's in the corner staring at me. Obviously, I don't believe these things, but it just gives you a creepy vibe, and now that I've been very fascinated with and will visit for years to come. My number one of the year is Cromlech, Ascent of Kings. This is a Canadian epic doom band, but they're bordering on extreme metal. And when I say this, these aren't my thoughts. I heard this or read this in a review, but just the songs and the vocals are just so over the top that it becomes extreme metal through the over the topness of what is basically a doom meets heavy metal band. These guys have unfortunately broken up. One of the members has departed, so the remaining members are reforming as Mormagill, and I hope to check out new music from them soon. And these guys are located maybe an hour from me, and I do think they play some small shows here and there, but it's never gotten to my attention on time, and I guess I never saw Cromlech live, but definitely keep tab on what these guys are doing going forward. So my favorite song of the year is a song called Dreamer by a band called Distressor. Distressor are more or less a shoegaze band, and I guess you could say more or less a Whirr worship band. I'll get to Whirr later, because Whirr has an album called Distressor. These guys are called Distressor, and they sound a lot like Whirr, so I think they're just owning it. And I can't really find a copy of that on CD. I think it was a very limited run, sold out. I'll keep my eyes open to find a used copy. But again, the band's called Distressor. The song's called Dreamer. That is my favorite song of the year. For what it's worth, I got my Spotify Wrapped a month or two ago, like everyone else. Not a very interesting top five, but it all makes sense. My number five was Led Zeppelin. Kind of made sense. It's family time, summertime, car music. Made sense. Number four, Iron Maiden. Makes sense because my son went on a huge Iron Maiden spree all through the summer. My number three was Sade, who's one of my favorite non-metal artists. Number two was Metallica, which I found kind of strange at first, but in hindsight, when 72 Seasons came out, it took me a couple months to get around to buying it, and I definitely wanted to give that a good listen to, so we kept it on shuffle and repeat around the house for a couple months, I'd say. And my number one of the year was Whirr. So if you don't know, they're a shoegaze band from California. They're spelled Whirr. They are one of my favorite bands these days. It's just so heartfelt and beautiful. I really recommend you check them out. Their last album came out in 2019, Feels Like You, and it was a vinyl only release, and that's long sold out. But they're my number one. Let's just say TMI time. That's the wife and I's jam. So got some time in listening to that one. My favorite podcast this year was definitely Necropolis podcast. What they've been doing lately is just taking, for example, like 20 classic death metal albums from 1992 and just putting them in tier lists. But these guys are very critical, sometimes too critical, but I find that approach interesting. Or 1993 black metal classics, ranking them. Again, sometimes they're very hard on it. Sometimes I find a couple of albums I've never heard before, and I think it's very interesting. And I guess my favorite movie of the year was Infinity Pool. I remember when I saw that movie, kind of blew my mind. Brandon Cronenberg. I remember there's one other guy in the theater, and as soon as the movie was over, we both just kind of got up from our seats and looked at each other and kind of nodded like that was awesome. But I will admit, when I watched it on DVD several months later, didn't have quite the impact, but such is watching movies your second time around. And that's about it. So I hope you guys have a great new year. I'll definitely keep this thing going next year if anyone cares. And take it easy. Thank you.